Hi, welcome to the first official class that I'm going to be giving. This time around, we're going to be working with the Fair Housing Act. Let me make sure I'm looking at the camera here, so you can see my beautiful eyes. Fair housing it's really not something many people understand or even know about, actually. In fact, I heard about it, didn't really know any details. Nobody ever thought to explain it, apparently. So I'm going to do my best to see what I can do to explain it to you. Now, it is not going to be in depth. I can do that later on. Right now, I'm just giving you a general overall idea so that you know what you're working with to be able to keep on guard not to do some of these things. These are federally protected classes. There are 7 of them in total. You've got race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin. Like I said, there are 7 of those. If you can't keep them all straight, that's okay. Just keep the general idea straight, you'll be good. So let's start with race. Actually, let's start with race and national origin. They are 2 different things. Many people get them confused, and trust me, I understand that completely. But keep in mind that race is, say, I'm part Native American, so that is a race. I am also Caucasian. That is also a race. Someone whose heritage is in Africa, that would be a race as well. But adding to that, if they immigrated from Africa, the actual African American, that would be national origin. So neither of those are to be discriminated against. Like I said, they're confusing. It's okay. Just anything that has to do with their nationality. Like if somebody's got an accent, don't say a word about it. Unless perhaps they say something. And then you're free to say something about their accent back to them. No problem there. If they bring it up, especially depending on the situation, sometimes you may not have a choice on whether or not you actually reply back to them concerning that particular piece. So keep those 2 things in mind. I think I've gone over those decently well. But yeah, just be careful. Skin color, how they sound, how they look, don't comment on any of it. It is inappropriate in the first place because it doesn't matter what skin color you are, what you sound like, what you look like, any of those things. It doesn't matter. We are all human beings. We all have souls. Treat each other with respect that you would want to have in the first place. You'll be fine after that, I promise. Even if somebody doesn't give you the respect back, you've still done the right thing. So, next thing on our list is color. Kind of goes back to what I just said. Treat everybody the same way. If their skin color is black, if it's yellow, red, white, do not say anything about it. Do not discriminate about it. Forget about it, honestly. It is the best thing, the wisest thing for anybody to do is forget what skin color somebody else is and just be completely on the level with them. Treat them like the other person is almost you, in fact. Just give them the respect that you would want. Next thing is religion. Like for me, I grew up Baptist. However, I am no longer a Baptist. I do not claim any particular denomination, but should I say something about it to someone else, they're perfectly fine saying something about it to me in response. But they shouldn't be asking, what denomination are you? Or, things like that. In a personal setting versus a business setting, you have to know the appropriateness. I'm not saying you can't walk up to somebody and say, are you a Buddhist? Are you, well, for me, I'm a Christian. So somebody coming up to me asking me, are you a Christian? Depending on the setting, that's fine. It really is. But keep in mind, especially in business, all of these you must keep in mind. If it is a one-on-one, you might be able to get away with it, but keep in mind there is an appropriateness to everything. You must know and understand the situation, situational awareness, to be able to properly handle it. So keep all of that in mind too. Sex, gender, male, female. That's what we've got. So, you're one or the other. Don't treat somebody else of the opposite gender harshly. Don't treat someone of your gender harshly. Just treat them as you would expect to be treated. Period. End of story. Handicap, disabilities. This came from the ADA, the Association... Hold on. American Disabilities Act. There we go. Sorry. Lisp was coming in. So, keep in mind, someone who is using a cane, wheelchair, even somebody that you notice, like somebody with autism, Down syndrome, not always is it obvious, but sometimes you can notice things, and that's okay. Just don't mention it. One, it really can be an affront to them. Like for me, I have a niece who's autistic, and people who say things about autism negatively really tick me off. They have no idea what they're talking about half the time. In fact, I would say even more than half the time. So, again, appropriateness and respect. Two of the biggest things I'm a proponent of. So just be careful of those. It really will help. Now, you can, especially if somebody asks for help, go help them, please. Accommodate them as much as you can within reason. If somebody walks into a store and you happen to have a wheelchair handy and they say something about, do you have a wheelchair or do you have a scooter? I know Walmart has those things. In fact, I've used them. I've got various ligament issues that I can't always walk around the store. So, guess what I do? I get one of the scooters. Not a problem. People who see me coming tend to get out of my way. Especially when they realize that my husband is walking behind me and practically chasing the scooter, so I'm driving a little bit faster. It's okay. Enjoy it when you can. If something happens, just understand. Somebody else is dealing with this long term. You're only dealing with something short term. So, try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Try to give them the respect that they deserve. And shoot, don't even try. Just give it to them. Because they have to live with this day in and day out, and they don't get a choice in the matter. So, I think I've given enough on my soapbox there. Let's move to familial status. This one's kind of confusing, actually. Familial status is basically for any family that has children, whether someone is expecting or they already have, especially younger children. Any child, according to the legislature, I believe 18 or under. Now, 18 is the age of official adulthood. So do keep that in mind. Things change a little bit. Someone who is adopting is definitely protected in this class. Basically, if it comes to a family with children, be very careful. Don't ask their ages. Don't ask really anything except for, say, if you're in the retail business. If somebody comes to you and says, hey, my son is graduating from, kindergarten. Okay, great. What does he like? You've been given the gender, so you're not discriminating on that. You've practically been given the age, so you're not discriminating on that either. So you've got a general idea, too, what kind of age range you're working with, say, a toy or really anything you'd find in the toy department at Walmart. So that'll give you a general idea there. But, like I said, don't ask age. Don't ask anything if you can get away with that. Unless, well, what does he like? What does she like if the gender's been given? What does your child like? That's a really good way to go, too. Especially if they haven't given you the gender. So just try to work around these things. It can take a little while, and yeah, you're going to make some faux pas. Let me tell you what, though. If you're having any worries about this, about, oh my goodness, am I actually going to be able to keep all this in mind? Let me give you my favorite story of all time. For me, completely flunking this. At least according to the call center that I worked for. A couple of years ago, I did work for a call center place where you get inbound calls for specific apartments so that you can give them the pricing, the availability, the location, all the amenities that they've given you the information for. Basically, an off-site marketing representative. So it was a very interesting job, but one of the things we learned in training was fair housing laws. In fact, we had to take a test on that to make sure we knew what we were talking about and dealing with. Really did help. However, while we were in training, I really felt so stupid doing this. You are shopped, they call it, on the phone calls, finding out whether or not you're actually giving them the good marketing service that you can. Actually listening to them, that is a really big one. Paying attention to what you're saying, how you're saying it, calling them by their name, not like every 5 seconds, like, oh, Martina, da 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 da, Martina, da 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 da, da da Martina. No. General conversational use. So, keeping it real, keeping it simple, giving people the information that they need. Nothing wrong with that. However, sometimes you do come into contact with different things such as, it's an apartment. Is it on the first floor? I've got a handicap. Okay. Let me see what I can do here, see if I've got any information for you. Just work it from there. It's great. But while I was in training, like I said, best time to make all these fun mistakes, I actually got somebody who they said that they didn't like animals. And the first question out of my mouth was, oh, are you allergic to animals? Unfortunately, allergies are actually part of the handicap protected status. So, that phone call was a 99% out of 100. But I also failed it because of the fair housing. So I got one of the highest scores apparently seen, if I remember correctly, in the training program. But I also failed it. Heavily. And the look on my trainer's face, I couldn't tell if I'd done something really good or really bad. Found out I'd done both. So, after that, don't feel bad about messing these things up. Just be very careful. Keep in mind what you're saying. That's a rule of thumb for anybody, anywhere, doing anything. Always be careful what you say. Be kind, be courteous, be respectful, be appropriate. So that will be your key. And if you have any questions, send them on to me. I'll see if I can answer them. ProjectEZDoesIt@gmail.com. I'll see how quickly I can get some more videos up here. It's been really crazy for me lately. I'm in Job Connection training and oh my goodness, there's so much going on. Plus, we've got a lot going on personally, so I'll get things up as soon as I can. And see if I can answer your questions then too. Alright, we'll see y'all later. Bye.